What's the trouble with dropouts? Welcome to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast. I'm Dr. Michael Perush, and this is my co-host, Marissa Matea. Now, everybody, Marissa is our COO, and she is, we call her the CA Ninja because she's got one of the greatest minds and creative minds for how to be a productive CA. But that's not what we're talking about today. I want to talk about this crazy thing that we hear a lot about called dropouts.
Yeah. It's a hot topic.
It's a hot topic. Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of a dangerous topic to your practice. You know, if you've got high dropouts, you might have a problem because you're having to replace those patients all the time. So that's a very expensive process. But how do you retain patients at the same time? You know, we talk about dropouts and we know that dropouts happen, but okay, so what do we do about it?
You know, I think it all starts with how we communicate with our patients. So I
would agree,
setting those expectations up front. We have a great virtual seminar coming up on that same very topic.
We do actually.
So sometimes I feel like whether it's patients dropping out or whether it's, well, let's just say it's staff dropping out of our practice and leaving us.
Boy, so true.
I feel like setting expectations is really your first go-to to help eliminate and to retain in your practice.
Okay. So you just struck a thought with me. When it comes to your new patients, we see a lot of doctors just go through this very robotic process through the exam, and they don't really ask a lot of questions. And, you run through some orthopedic tests, and this is a great opportunity during that exam to really start setting some expectations. I know when I do an exam, for example, that's present time consciousness with me. When I go into the room, I'm ready to set patient expectations. And Marissa, what do? You've been in there 1,000 times when I've done an exam. I'm setting an expectation for the long term, not the short term, not an expectation about, hey, we're going to get you out of pain. I mean, that's a magic trick. That's 4 visits. I'm setting an expectation about staying in care 1 year, 3 year, 10 years down the road, because we're talking about maintenance already. So setting expectations is a huge opportunity up front in that first day. And there's so many components to this.
There's so many components because I could even back it up to the first phone call. Amen. And how we set expectations for our patients coming in the door to our practice. What do we expect of them, and making sure that they know those things before they even get to our practice. And you could go into a bazillion different avenues there even, but setting expectations begins with that first phone call. In my opinion, it's right out the gate of what you're telling the patients and how you're communicating with them to make them want to adhere to you for what you're talking about for that long-term process.
So true. And I'm going to draw on another thought here. Do we know what patients are going to ask? Do we know what patients' concerns are when they call the office? Do we know what they're looking for? Do we know that they're going to have questions about insurance? How much is going to cost? How often do I have to come in? Do you take my insurance? Are they not going to have those kind of questions?
Yeah. And that's the funny part about this is that you get the same questions from the majority of people,
every time.
So you can be prepared.
Exactly.
You can be prepared for those phone calls. It may take a little bit of deep dive into your own practice of what are those questions people are calling and asking you, but you can be prepared and then work some expectations into your conversation before they even come into your office, or again, when they come into your office and what you're communicating with them at that point.
You just nailed it. It's all about asking questions, and it's not questions of tell me your name, social security number, insurance number. Those aren't the questions. The questions are, hey, what made you pick up the phone and call us? Mm-hmm. Hey, how does this problem, condition, pain affect your life?
Yeah. Sometimes it's just taking that next step, and that's why, I'll go back to it. We've created a whole seminar around how to set expectations, and it's not just with your patients. Docs, this is for you and your staff as well. It's working as a team. What are the expectations for your team? What are your expectations for your staff? I mean, it goes so much deeper than just what the expectations are and communicating that with patients, but it's communicating together and it's communicating to our staff so that we're all on the same page moving forward.
Well, that's so true. Setting expectations is really a team event.
It is.
And when you've got everybody clicking on the same page and you're all having that same conversation with all the patients coming in, and you're all working towards setting those good long-term expectations with patients, it really drives it home with the patients. And those are the ones that stay, pay, refer, and believe in your practice, as I always say.
Yeah.
And the same goes true with staff. Right now, I think everybody would agree that the employment market is a little, at best, wonky.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. It's kind of a crazy employment market. In fact, a lot of people may not realize that right now, the average CA stays with a chiropractic practice 9 months. 9 months. Wow. That's a pretty quick turnaround and out the door. So when you think about dropouts, and you mentioned this at the beginning, you got to think about staff too. How do I retain good staff? Because I've got such an investment in them. And if they're good, you don't want them to leave in 9 months or less. And so setting expectations with staff about working as a team, about training, about team building, about patient expectations and communication and all those other components of the practice. If you don't create that congruency, if you don't have that congruency with everybody, you're going to have staff dropouts too.
Yeah. And, you brought up one word that I'm going to pull out of there just to expand upon just a little bit, because obviously with CATS consultants, we spend a lot of time on the staff side of training, but training in general is so important. 80% of employees are wanting frequent training, 80%. So are you giving your staff that,
80%. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you've got a staff of, let's make the numbers easy, 4 people, 3 of them want to get trained.
Yeah. So
more often.
And taking them to that next level. And I'll throw out one more statistic because me, I love those. So 89%. So I just went up another 9%, 89% of employees want that training at their fingertips. That means anywhere, anytime they can access it and they can improve upon what they need for their job. Think about that for just a second.
That's amazing because that's a lot. They could be on their lunch break and doing some training on their phone. They could be driving to the office in their car and just immersing themselves in some chiropractic stuff before they walk in the door, because they can listen to it in their car. They can listen to it in the shower while they're making dinner at home at night after the kids are in bed, whatever. Yeah. Having that access is huge.
It is. And they feel like they're at the top of their game. They're more knowledgeable. They can really deep dive into your practice and help you grow if they're on that same level of training. There's so many important components. And then I would go back to the very beginning of this. It eliminates those dropouts in your practice of staff, and that's such a huge component for all of us right now, because the job market is, in your terms, so wanky out there.
Yeah. Oh, it's worse than that. That was just the nicest word I could come up with.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing it across the board. I'll spend a minute on that. We're seeing that a lot with a lot of the practices that we work with. I have a high number of new CAs coming into training every single day, which is really interesting right now. That tells me that our turnover and our dropouts are high for retaining employees in our practice. So it's not only retaining staff, but that, again, I'll take it back to the beginning, affects our dropouts of patients, because they like congruency. They like to see the same staff. They like to interact, and it goes back to the experience that they're getting in our office, which is hopefully a really great, memorable time that they are building a relationship with not only the doctor, but with the staff that are in front of them. That's why they come to us, right? They come to us for us to help them, to fix them, to be their counterpart in their health journey. So you look at all of those things and gosh, setting expectations is huge.
It's huge. And it's really the foundation of protecting your practice from all these dropouts, whether it's staff dropout or patient dropout. All of those affect you economically. All of those affect your bottom line.
And they're intertwined.
And they're intertwined.
Yeah.
And I bet a lot of doctors don't think about staff dropping out and how that affects patients dropping out, because it's true. We saw that in our practice. When we had continuity of staff, which we did, patients never left.
Yeah.
They just flat never left. And so that component is hugely important. And when we talk about economics, we can draw the economy into this too. You know, there's a higher propensity, big word, for patients and staff to drop out during high inflationary times. Why? Patients, easy. They may want to cut back on things. If they're not finding value in what you deliver service-wise and care-wise, it'll be easy for them to cut you from the budget. Staff, there's a lot of job openings out there right now because the job market, as far as the number of people in the job market, is very low, but the volume of job openings is very high. So because of high inflation, they may be looking for a better experience somewhere else. So you've got to be providing that experience to not only your patients, but your staff too.
Yeah.
And creating that together. And doctors, you want to avoid burnout. You're going to drop out too if you're not involved in that experience as well and getting that out of the practice. And that's where your staff comes in to help you with that too. So it's this very intertwined union between doctor, staff, and patients to really make it work. So, and you know, this is why we put together our 4-hour virtual seminar coming up here in September about setting expectations. And it's setting expectations at every point in your practice all the way through so that you bring that congruency into the practice and help eliminate a lot of those dropouts and improve your bottom line.
Yeah. And it's not only, you know, the virtual seminars that we've got, but, you know, I'll throw a little plug in for us that we've got some new programs like Path to Prosper. And it gives you that access anytime, anywhere to training materials to help your staff in the job that they're doing. And again, that goes back to that statistic, right? That's 89% want that information, at their fingertips. So, you know,
great statistic.
We're really working towards helping the profession in general be able to access information easier and more affordable. So, you know, check us out. I highly encourage, you know, you guys to check the website out, check out all the new things that we're doing and see, you know, again, virtual seminar is September 22nd, 8:30 to 12:30. It's 4 hours. And you've got great information for helping you set all those expectations to eliminate all those dropouts.
Okay. So we don't normally do this. And Marissa, you're probably going to shoot me for even throwing this out.
Oh, great.
But I want people to have access to this information. And I think a great starting point is our Path to Prosper program, because it's so simple and it's these micro bursts of information right at your fingertips, anytime, anyplace, anywhere. And it's got such a fantastic price point to it. You can't say no. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I don't know why you wouldn't do it. But I also want to give people who are listening to this access to our virtual seminar coming up on September 22nd, right?
Yeah.
Coming up
this week.
really quick. So you got to act fast. And this is what we don't normally do. Marissa, can we give them, the listeners out there, a way to get a discount just to this one seminar so they can gain access to it and
absolutely
really see what a virtual seminar with CATS Consultants is all about?
You know, I'll do this. Why don't I'll put up my email address, my direct email address to everyone that's listening. And if you will just email me that you would like to gain some discounts to go ahead and watch the seminar, I'll send you a link specific to you.
Awesome.
How's
okay.
that?
Well, you can shoot me later.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Hey, seriously, take advantage of this. Come and join us on the virtual seminar. I think you're going to absolutely love it. And I know you're going to appreciate the information that comes from it. And we get such amazing feedback on all of our virtual seminars, I think in large part because we've been doing them for so long. And it's just good, honest information developed by chiropractors for chiropractors. So come and check us out. All right, everybody. Marissa, thanks for joining me today. And thanks everybody out there for listening to the KC CHIROpulse podcast brought to you by CATS Consultants. We'll see you next time.